by the way kitu iko yani just yani I was like wow. Do your time mimi nilikuwa nimetoka kwa msee wa kudishi juona bika na bread
serious ama chafua sababu unajua hizo kweli
to being cooked for like a 2-3 course meal manze
anakuleta hadi dessert to fruits
sema here babe uko like we
is this heaven?
That's what heaven is like.
manze niko poa sana.
Fast forward 5 years later.
5 years later manze ambie wauzi bana manze tumechoka
Mimi
kupika ama tu order KFC tuko na do sawa order.
Yeah, I think our first few days were just fun.
So is there anything, that one thing that probably you are so used to and now you found yourself having to learn or having to change from doing that thing because now you're in this setup that is you and him. Kuna watu wanakuanga tu na vile socks according to Rob kutoa socks kwa chapo I mean bad habits. Is there anything like that? Was there anything like that in your first days?
Actually, do you know me? I don't remember something. Like I feel like our first, you know how people say like the typical first year, like you have a lot of ni hard, or you're trying to adjust. It wasn't like that.
It's almost as though we had lived together before.
Yeah, of course I know there are things that I didn't like. I was just like, why is this here? Like even simple things like, oh, you put the toilet seat down. Like me,
those
I didn't.
Things are real. Me, I've never.
It was.
Come out to
exaggerate vitu hizo. Like for me, it wasn't like an issue or anything.
Ipate chini weka juu.
Finish
these things.
I don't know, maybe people have those experiences, but for us, our first, I can't remember very like any significant specific thing that Robbie.
So we can say when you can't, you guys didn't have any disagreements
or
fights.
We have
because
course.
That was a question. Like, what was your
like,
first fight, and what was it about, and how did you guys now maybe from there learn how to resolve disputes together pamoja?
Ni hard kukumbuka. I think because our fights are not World War Z. Unajua like fights zetu you'll find it like they are just disagreements.
Yeah. Like even and for me, and this might sound like it's not, but I don't remember the things that Rob has done wrong. I genuinely
that's what love is.
Don't remember
the multitude of sin.
Can you listen? I genuinely don't remember you did this to me or
there are people who have X-Files wamezieka sasa Rob 2019 ulinifanyia hivi na unarudia tena sasa 2024.
You have not grown.
What maybe I can say that sometimes I say is like I'll say like you always do this and things like that. But I don't like, this day he did this. I genuinely
and also using those absolutes.
Like always.
Because when like by the it's not always.
Yeah, it's not
always.
Utapata nilifanya tu maybe once ama twice. But it's not always.
When someone says always, man, there's something about that. Yeah.
Or you are like this. Like it's,
you never
you
never do.
Yeah.
But I remember something significant, like okay, not really like a fight or anything, but with regards to the adjustment. Like mimi nilikuwa nimezoea.
Oh my gosh.
Kwani unasoma akili yangu?
Ebu tell them what you did.
By then nilikuwa nimezoea kulala peke yangu.
Kirobo.
So sahi manze nimedoze. Washo na kama anishika hivi.
Ala.
Manze nastuka. Nani amenishika? Hapo nakumbuka niko married.
By the way, hata squeezing you better.
Nilikuwa na mwana wao.
Do you know?
And many nights.
Like nitamshika alafu anashtuka. And then kuna days literally amenikick. Ni wasema.
Manze what? Jumi nilikuwa najua manze msaki kushtaka either ni mashetani ama ni mwizi.
I saw a meme today Someone had posted as there's nothing as good as getting those kisses as ile umelala. And then mtu comment hapo chini, unless you're in prison or you live alone. You live alone like unasikia mtu anakupiga mmoja.
Haki Rob really struggles to adjust.
You really struggle to adjust. And you know the interesting thing. Manze. Unampiga diteke hapo. Niko hapo manze, sorry babe, sorry.
An approach na caution. We. That's funny.
and you know the interesting thing ni like ile time yenye Washo sasa kuna time Washo ali travel alienda majuu. So we were not together for like 10 days. Nilikuwa nashindwa kulala.
Hata mimi nilikuwa na struggle kulala.
Nilikuwa nashindwa kulala. Hadi tunatextiana usiku. Babe uko awake. Uko poa manze, nimeshindwa kudoze. Hata mimi nimeshindwa kudoze. You know, as in, and it's because sasa sahi like cause alikuwa ametravel last year. So after 3-4 years of being married, manze mko like sasa umeshazoea sasa yeye kwa hapo.
So you see.
So like when she's not there, na find it hard kulala.
Wow.
So it's weird, it's interesting.
There's this conversation that people always have, and I should have asked maybe earlier and it's kept my mind. The issue of test drive. You can't buy a car that you've not driven. That you've not tested. How do you know it's working? So if you bring that perspective, like how do you know that you guys are compatible? Because you might end up marrying someone and then you realize, kumbe nilikuwa namlike lakini kama sister. I don't feel we are compatible in that way. How would you address that?
I think for me, like I don't believe in like sex before marriage. Not that anyone who's done it and cohabiting, but I think for me, I really didn't. I think the fact that I was attracted to Rob, I was attracted to him. So I was like, I didn't even think that it was going to be like an issue. And then you see, for what us guys have known is that like sex is just not physical. Like there's a spiritual aspect to it. There's a emotional aspect to it. There's a psychological aspect to it. So I think us entering into marriage, I knew that there were like it's something we had to learn. Like okay, I had sex before him, he hadn't. So like those are things like we had to find adjustments to, you know. Like there are seasons whereby like that I don't know how to explain, but for me I see like as sex as like it's a journey, like it's an adjustment. Like how we were having sex year one is not the same as we're having sex right now, you know, because you've been able to learn to communicate, you've been able to learn how to, or this works, that this does not work. Like it's way
like
exactly, like it grows. Exactly.
It grows.
So I think the whole aspect of just driving is, I don't think, you know, I genuinely think when we say that God gives good gifts, I genuinely believe that. And I don't believe that okay, let's say you've done it, you've test drived and everything, you like having sex with this person, but there's something that shifts, I think, when you're having sex before marriage and after. There's a shift, and I've talked to like friends of mine who've had sex before with each other, but there's something different about it, because that's the grace, like that's the purpose as to why it was made, is to help you like become one with somebody. So I get the notion of like, I get why people would say that, but why don't you think about it in the perspective like, if God has enabled me to be with so and so, hasn't he thought about these things also? Like, hasn't he factored
and also,
into that?
You don't test drive a gift.
You don't.
Nikikuletea gari leo, ati hii gari ni yako.
You can even end it
drop
the mic.
You see, I told you this guy is wise. Oh gosh.
Yeah, drop the mic. Nikikuletea gari once, acha ni test drive before ni accept.
Unachukua hiyo gari
hata kama ina engine, utasort engine baadaye. Wow, that's a good one, Rob. hiyo ndio itakuwa title for that episode.
Yeah. But it's true. I think the fact that God would have allowed you to marry somebody, or you've decided to have that journey with somebody, why don't you also have that, think of like nikonomse ini gift nimepewa.
But someone's reasoning will be, we are still going to end up together. I'm still going to marry this person. What's the big deal?
How I was thinking about it is like when you're living with someone and when you make the covenant, there's things that become different automatically. And it's because like that covenant causes you, it's the same way like even temptation ya sex, think about it. For example, before marriage you ulikuwa too tempted na dem. As yani you just want this chick, and then when you marry her, now you are tempted with other chicks. It's like we have a nature that is within us that Christ is the one who deals with. And he's now giving us his nature the more we spend time with him. Because that your nature ingine inasema I need to try this thing out, I need to do this, I need to do that. Lakini you are, according to me, you are also wasting your own time. Yeah, because think about it, tunaweza duka mwiste for 2 years tuachane, niende ni duka mwiste ingine tena na mse mwingine 2 years tena tuachane.
And that's what a lot of people are doing nowadays, by the way.
We're just wasting
investing so much in a kamwiste, and then wanakosana, and you know it becomes a whole issue.
And you see somebody has a right to live, because I'm not committed to
it. Not committed in any. The government does not recognize it. God does not recognize it. At a society, by that time, maybe
they don't.
It's a secret.
And then you know, like the aspect of like sex and intimacy and all these things. Like even the reason why it was meant for marriage is because you know sex is worship. If I don't like, it's when me and Rob become one. There's like a, it's like you're giving like a sacrifice or something like that. If I'm doing
you're
it
giving
of yourself, if I'm
life.
doing it outside of marriage, who am I giving it to? You get like it's like nikama,
who is the presiding priest?
Yes.
Over that sacrifice
that you're giving. Who is there?
It could be a demon.
It could either be the devil or Jehovah. There's no in between.
It could be your soulish self.
And
which is even worse.
And you see, even the more you have sex with somebody, the more even you're supposed to become one. You become one with somebody. Like there's a lady who was telling me, I think she was in a kamwiste or something, and she finally decided to leave this guy. And one of the reasons why she decided is because she noticed she became an angry person. She never used to be an angry person, but because these guys were having sex and what have you, there are things about you that become, I take them, and there are things about somebody else that I take.
And it's subconscious.
You don't
not
even think about it.
Someone was actually arguing about that point and was saying, why is it only that only negative traits are transferred? Why can't, now I've slept with a millionaire, tomorrow
you become a
millionaire.
Why does it have to be this person is angry, you become angry?
But I don't think it's just a negative traits. I think we notice the negative traits more, because we have a propensity to, even bad news, we take in bad news faster than good news. That's why kupreach gospel ni ngumu, lakini kugossip, kuchapa BNN ukisikia kuna story BNN, yani hiyo ni so easy, because that like we have a propensity to bad news. And so even how we perceive ourselves, like Washo is a counselor, and whenever she's talking to maybe a client, you'll find like client kama ana accuse mse mwingine, atamuaccuse, yani hata sema anything about themselves. Hata sema, you know, this person does this to me, my mom does this to me, she doesn't understand me, and then in all that you've explained, you haven't said anything about yourself. You know, and that's a tendency that's usually there. You ndo kitu I'd say ina affect the reality of things.